Alright, we're going to document this. Here we go. On Tuesday night, I drove an hour and 7 minutes away from home to a town called Levin. In Levin, I was staying at my wife's auntie and uncle's place, her uncle's place. Thank you, Andrew and Pepsi. Much love. I woke up to a cooked breakfast. How cool was that? And then went outside, got my car ready, and it was freezing cold. Before I got out of bed, it was 1 degree Celsius, and when I was de-icing the car, I swear, I washed it down the windscreen and then washed down the sides and the back, put the hose away, and went back, and the bloody windscreen had iced over again. I probably should have used the windscreen wiper. That would have helped out. Alright, so I drive about a kilometre to the nearest gas station, petrol station, Mobil, and it's there that I intend to park my car and then hitchhike up to Raglan. I don't know how far Raglan is, folks. I just know it's at least 6. I reckon it's at least 6.5 hours drive. But it's not 6.5 hours drive on a single motorway. It's a patchwork quilt, especially at the end that you have to do to get there. I throw the thumb out and I start hitchhiking. I park my car at Mobil. I go to the guy, hey bro, is it cool if I park my car here? I'll pick it up tomorrow. And he said, oh, actually just park it over this other place. The cameras are on it anyway. And I'm like, sweet, I can see the camera. I'm like, cool, my car. So I go park my car there, cross the road. It's too dark to go to my favourite spot when I'm in Levin. So I pick this next best thing until it starts to get daylight because it's still dark. And then I throw my thumb out. Oh, also I set up a TikTok live as well. So people can put up my tripod, people are watching the TikTok live. I'm doing that at 7 a.m. It's cold. My thumb feels cold. There's nothing like having just a cold thumb, nothing else, just my thumb. And you know, we have conversations with a few people, there's some roadworks and stuff that's taking place around me, and I say kia ora to pretty much everybody that's coming past, the pie shop and stuff. If you're not familiar with that, kia ora in New Zealand, it's just like, hey bro, or kia ora, I'm like, oh, hi, how are you? Greetings, warmest greetings, that kind of thing. It's a really nice way of saying hello to somebody. Unless you're racist, in which case it's probably not going to go down too well. Anywho, so I'm there for about half an hour, and then about 25 past 7 I look at the time, I'm thinking, okay, in about 5 to 10 minutes I'm going to move from here and I'm going to go to my favourite spot, which is about another 800 metres down the road, which is better, but because of the light it's too dark. 5 minutes later, this van pulls over. It's a big van, and it's the kind of van that is repurposed into like a camper. It's a camper van, but it's the way it's designed. I can't remember the make and model, but it's not too much bigger than an actual van. Anyway, enough about the van. The guy who's picking me up lights down the window. He goes, "Where are you off to?" Now, I say, Taupo. Taupo is about 4.5 hours drive from Wellington, maybe 4. It's less than the distance that I'm trying to get to. It's on the way to Raglan, but it's definitely not Raglan. It's still a large chunk to get past. But I say Taupo because I know that that's quite a long distance for somebody to take me. If that person is driving beyond that distance, let's say they're going all the way to Auckland, at Taupo, they can review the relationship. So instead of, a better way of saying it, or another way of saying it is, no, if they know they're going to Auckland, which is pretty much twice the distance, they don't have to take me if I'm also going all the way to Auckland. if I was going all the way to Auckland and they were going all the way to Auckland, and I said, Auckland, as a driver, I'd be thinking, fuck man, we're going the same place and that's cool, but what if you're a dickhead? Then I'm stuck with you all the way to Auckland. Granted, they could say at any stage, can you get out of my car? But people are too nice, man. A lot of people don't have that ability to navigate that kind of difficult conversation, right? So I say Taupo, and he says, oh cool, I'm going to Hamilton. Now Hamilton is between Taupo and Raglan. Hamilton is the corner bit of the L shape. You go to Hamilton, or you go around Hamilton, and then you go to Raglan. There was the geography lesson for you. So I jump in the car, the van, introduce myself to Lua, who is a specialist addiction, maybe nurse. I don't think he said nurse. I felt like he said counsellor, not counsellor. He could administer drugs, put it that way. I know he can administer diazepam and maybe something else. Anyway, we start talking. I'll pause there because I haven't given the bit about like, why am I going to Raglan? Why is this guy going to Raglan? So if you just tuned in, you're wondering, well, has he actually talked about why he's going to Raglan? No, I haven't. So the reason I'm going to Raglan is because there is a beach there that's famous for its surfing, and pretty much most people you meet, especially tourists, most tourists that you meet, at some stage they're going to ask you two things. Have you been to Queenstown? Or, wow, what about Queenstown? And if they surf, they're going to talk about Raglan. I don't surf. I can't surf for shit. But I think it was more just the fact that people had talked about this beautiful place in Aotearoa, New Zealand, and I hadn't been there before. So Raglan was on my bucket list. Much like on December the 19th last year when I hitchhiked around the western coast of Mount Taranaki. It was the first time I'd done that, and that was on my bucket list. And that was on my bucket list because I'd never been around the coastal side of Mount Taranaki. It just seemed like the right thing to do, right? Okay, back to the car with Laura, the van. So Laura and I are talking, and he's telling me about his role, what he does. Man, fascinating job, this guy. And in the course of a week, this guy can have more impact on a person's entire life than you and I combined over our whole lifetimes. That's an exaggeration, but hopefully it highlights the point that he can make a really, really deep impact on a person's life, or have no impact at all. Actually, you can't say no impact at all. You get my point. Okay, so he and I were talking rugby union, we're talking rugby league, reliving our old moments during the game where we carved shit up. He actually has been coaching rowing for 20 years. Lua is Samoan. If you don't know that word Lua, Dasi Lua, number 2. And he's got some buzzy, funny ass stories. One of them in particular that stands out. He's got a few rugby stories. Like, you speak to anybody who's played rugby or league, for a decent chunk. And Everyone's got a story to tell, bro. Once you get one of the boys wound up about a try that they scored, or oh, bro, hold the phone. We're just pulling over. Oh no, there's two cars. I was going to pull over and help a car that has bonnets up. There's another car in front of it. They got that shit sorted. Okay. Yeah, so Law tells me some of his stories, and I just can't, I'm cracking up because I relate. They're so relatable. Anyway, we drive for about 5 hours, and that's a massive chunk. I don't know how far Raglan is. What do they say, about 7.5? 7? Is that it? 6.5? I don't know. I also don't know because I didn't look on a map before I left. I looked at the bit where you go from, like, there's a point, I can't even, Franklin is it? Where you go from Franklin to Raglan. But everywhere else I was like, man, I'll sort that shit out on the way. We'll get there. We always do. Thanks, universe. And we stop in Wauru, and for a piss stop, a toilet break, a bathroom stop, whatever you want to call it. And then we carry on, and he drops me off in a place called Tirau. It's about an hour south of Hamilton. As we're pulling into it, he and I are talking about best places to get picked up and all the rest, and then he just happens to mention, he goes, oh, my wife every time I come here, my wife goes to this candy store over there. And I'm like, oh, sweet, can you stop the car? I'll get out and go to the candy store. It's like, are you sure? It's like, yeah, man. Because if I don't do it then, chances are I might never do it, So I'm like, yeah, man. So I jump out, grab my stuff, we hug, and then Lua goes on his way and I go mine. Lua was 64, and I kid you not, he would have looked pushing 51. Pushing. I only say pushing because I'm 45, and he didn't really look 6 years older than me. He looked a little bit younger, but, just the lies we tell ourselves. Anywho, I go over to the lottie shop, and man, this place is dope, man. I've got a sweet tooth. I blame Debbie. Lack of accountability on my part, but I still blame her. And I'm thinking, right, I'm going to buy some lollies for her and take home. Cool. I get in there, it's like floor to ceiling with lollies. It's a really cute candy store. It's not massive in terms of like the size of a warehouse, but for New Zealand it's pretty big. You don't see a lot of these things. Grab some old-fashioned butterscotch, which turns out I really like, and then I gap it, go outside, and I flick on a TikTok live. If you don't know what TikTok live is, it's basically like you open up TikTok, but instead of watching other people's reels, you just turn it on as if you're a TV, and your phone is like a camera, a TV camera, and everybody else can just, when they're on TikTok, they can, instead of watching reels, they can watch your TV channel. That's what TikTok live is like. So I do one of those. I've made massive progress. In one ride, I've broken the back of it. One ride. I had no idea how long it would have taken me though, so I kind of misjudged the time. I get that it's 12:30, and in my mind, I didn't know what time. Had it taken me several rides and stops in between, I didn't really calculate how long it was going to take me to get to that same point. So I don't pay enough attention to the time. I have a blaze, and then I walk down, grab the TikTok live, switch it off, walk down through the main town, Tirau, and I stop in at the New Zealand Breast Cancer New Zealand. Breast Cancer New Zealand. Yeah. Their pink truck. And I start just having a chat with ladies there. I had a little bit of a flex. Want to hear it? Okay. Okay, here's my flex. They had all this stuff on the table, and I wanted to grab some freebies. They had like they had the brochures and stuff, but they also had like bracelets. I wanted to grab some bracelets for the kids at home, at Debbie. So I go there. They're not the ladies are inside the caravan. They're not manning the table. So I go and I start helping myself, and then she comes out. And I'm like, oh, hey, kia ora, how are you? And we start having a chat. Fuck, I can't remember her name. Anyway, we're chatting away, and then she starts talking to me about it, and I get it. Like, she's talking to me. Like, if you look at me now, there's just this dude who looks like a street kid. He's turning up. He looks like a time waster. I look like a bum. No offense to bums, bro. I'm much love. And she's just looking at me, and I'm a male, and so when she's talking to me, she's definitely talking to me like I'm stupid / retarded. I don't know if that's not a PC word anymore. It's a word I'm retarded. And I'm looking at her, and I'm like, I don't know whether I should say to this lady my understanding or not. And I'm like, you know what? I don't need to be a dick about it, of course. So I just let her go through the motions, and she speaks to things. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And then she says, why are you interested in this? And I was like, cool. I'll walk her through it. So I explained to her that I've got my wife Debbie, I've got 3 daughters, and I have my mum. And I found that whenever I would raise the subject of mammograms with my mum or my auntie, they would clam up a wee bit, and the conversation would kind of die. And I didn't mean to use that pun. Anyway, and it was a knowledge gap for me. That's something that was so important to these women in my life who I obviously absolutely love. I had no understanding of what this thing was. That was a really big thing for them. So through a mate, shout out Brooke. She connected me with my now other mate, Dr. Monica Saini. And Dr. Monica Saini owns the New Zealand Breast Institute of New Zealand. And she very kindly put me through the mammogram process. End to end. Consultation, pre-consultation, consultation, post, the things, right? So I understand a lot more than what I would suggest 90% of other men do. And I'm very grateful for that. I'm very fortunate to have had gone through that experience. So anyway, that was my flex with her. I just walked her through it, and I was like, actually, this is my experience. And with Monica, with Dr. Monica Saini, I'll use her official name, because you fellas don't know. Dr. Saini is that she let me do we did a podcast episode together, so you can check out my podcast, Big Life Mindset, if you're not already listening to it right now. So yeah, that was really cool. We were also joined by this other lady who was very obviously disabled. I would say, I know stuff all, but there was a mental disability. Yes, a mental disability. But she came over, and we were having a yarn, and then she tells us that she'd been fundraising, like shaking buckets, for 12 years. 12 years. It's like, yeah, man, I'm so glad to have met you. You're like, her passion is feeding the pipeline that's helping those other 2 ladies who are running the camper van to give out information and raise awareness of breast cancer to people like me who are walking past and hitchhiking. It's like, yeah. That's dope. So anywho, wrap that up. Few photos, and then I walk over to the BP, the gas station, the petrol station. I'm there for about 10-15 minutes, and it's now 2 o'clock. What is becoming obvious to me is that it's not that I'm too far away from Raglan, because you get one ride and it's done. The challenge I have is that it's not it's going to be really rare for a car to be going from where I am to Raglan, because it's already the school holidays. And more so, if I can't get in one car, that means I had to do it it's broken up into several chunks, several rides, and instead of going north-south, you're trying to go east-west. And that's not like a straight line either, unless you go all the way into Hamilton and then you hang a left, head west. So at some stage, if I can't get in a car real soon, the chances of me getting to where I'm meant to go, Raglan, start to diminish by the minute. I got the thumb out, and I'm about 5 minutes away from changing my position. Fuck, I wish I put a water bottle with me. Sorry for the unnecessary use of the F-bomb. I'm about 5 minutes away from changing my spot, and then I saw this Hummer drives past. You know what a Hummer is? I don't need to explain. It's like that big military vehicle, and if you've never seen a Hummer, you would have seen one but not realised it. It's this car that it looks like it belongs in the army. Americans are famous for driving Hummers. You might see them. They look like it's a big badass car. Anyway, I see this car drive past, and it's going to pull into the BP behind me. And I look, and I'm like, I've never been in a Hummer. I've never been picked up hitchhiking in a Hummer. I've sat in a stretch Hummer. And so I'm like, lock your ears. Fuck it, I'm gonna shoot my shot. So I walk over, I pick up my pack. My pack is, like I've got a big tramping bag. I don't carry signs. I don't really believe in signs. Just a distraction. Got a story about that later on. And I walk over to the Hummer, and I wait until the driver gets out, because he's going to get gas, and I don't want to be there looking at him intently when he gets out of the car. So and I don't want to do that, because, man, if I just get out of the car and I've got somebody staring right at me, I'm thinking, what is this? Mind your ears. What does this cunt want? That's what I'm thinking. So I play with my phone, and he gets out, and he walks around and he does the thing with the gas. Meanwhile, I'm right, I'll bide my time, and plus I don't want to be up in this person's business, right? When you go to the petrol station, you don't want to be sitting there thinking, why is this person who I don't even know up in my space? Like, why? So I'm very mindful of that. I respect that. I walk around, and we both kind of meet on the forecourt a bit, like lock eyes, aware of each other's presence. And I introduce myself. I say kia ora. He's a Māori dude. He's got curly hair down to his shoulders, curly black hair. He's got a big pounamu, which is like a green jade greenstone on his necklace. He's got tats. He's got the rings. He's got a diamond watch. I didn't notice the watch at the time, but he straight up. I mentioned this to him as well. When I first saw him in that car, I thought, he's a dealer. He's a drug dealer. Just because that's like our, not to blame society, but we're constantly force-fed that image, right? If there's a Māori in that kind of car, Māori as a brown native person of New Zealand, in case you didn't know that, if there's a Māori and he's in that car, he either stole it or he's a drug dealer. That's it. Those are your only two options. Thanks, 10-7. So he and I are talking, and I think he's going in the direction that I'm going, and so I say, hey, look, if you're going, I'm heading towards Hamilton. Are you going in that direction? And if so, could I get a ride? He says, yeah, I am, but I'm only going up to Cambridge, which is about 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes north of where we are, maybe a bit longer. Anyway, and I said, look, that's cool. And I say that's cool, honestly, because if I'm going to be late and I'm not going to make Raglan anyway, then I may as well have all of that and been hitchhiking in a Hummer. You know, I figured, well, why not? So cool. So I jumped. We actually go to the BP, into the petrol station. He grabs the feed. I have a water. We have a bit of a chat in there as well. He introduces himself. In fact, we did that outside. Sorry. And his name is a rainbow. That's not his name. I can see a rainbow. It's beautiful. His name is Robbie Allen. Robbie Allen. A-L-L-E-N. Robbie and I, have a chat in the BP, then we come back into the car. Obviously, I have to take a photo in front of the car because I'm a dork. And off we go. And so he and I are chatting away in the car, and man, what unfolds, like the rest of my time with Robbie, I'm going to find it difficult to put into words the connection, because I don't know whether it's a thing you can speak about and capture it properly, or at least I don't have the language. Maybe I do have the language. I'm starting to overcomplicate things. I had a really deep connection. We had a really deep connection, I should say. If I put words in his mouth, I believe we had a really deep connection. He realises that I'm not going to get to Raglan on time. Or at least, because of the situation, like it's getting dark, and he says, why don't I take you back to my yard, grab one of the cars, and then you can take it up, use it to Raglan for however long, and then drop it off when you finish. Like, man, that's super cool, right? So he takes me to his yard, which is past where he's actually going, like where he was originally intending to go. He goes past that. And which means he's doing something for me that I value more than money. Which, to be fair, I don't really value money very highly, but in any case, I value this thing. Is he's giving me his time. He's sharing his time with me. And that I believe is far more valuable than money. So he does this, and he does this on the knowledge that because of the time it is, he's going to get caught in rush hour traffic going back as well. So he's just bought more traffic time on the way back. So more time that he's gifting me. He drops me off. Oh, sorry, I skipped a step. Several. While we're in the car, he talks to me. We're just having this open conversation. He talks to me about his life, and he's been interviewed by the Herald about 3 weeks ago. The Herald is basically like a national newspaper in Auckland. It's very business oriented. People say right wing, whatever. And they interviewed him because of the turnaround that he completed in his life. Now check this out. The bro, Robbie, has, up until he was 32 years old, he had accumulated 51 convictions. 51 convictions before he was 32. And when I asked him what the common denominator, what like the common factor was, he said alcohol. It's like, man, that's buzzy, man. Because, not unexpected, right? Not unexpected. You hear it, you're like, yeah, alcohol. The buzzy bit comes where he talks about something that an experience that he had. It's a positive one. I'm not going to share it. And then at 32, he turns, he shifts. And this guy doesn't just shift a little bit, he goes 180 degrees. So if you look at one side of the coin and you flip it, he's the other side of the coin. He starts a business, starts working hard, starts investing time in himself. He fails, tries again, fails, tries again, gets better, gets bigger, and then he has, shucks. Oh, Robbie, if you hear this, bro, it's my bad. I can't remember the number. I can't remember, honestly, I can't remember whether he said 17 trucks or 30 something trucks. A lot of trucks. Oh yeah, if it's not obvious, I don't know a lot about cars or trucks. This is I think one of the things that I appeal to some people, especially like, I don't know, anyway. One of Robbie's passions is high-end vehicles. I don't know anything about them. But he turns his life around in this spectacular way and has built this business, very successful, built these other businesses, and but like I said, the money's the money, you know, but it's the fact that this guy's just giving me his time. Like, yeah, man. And what's something else that was cool is so actually I'll finish the story properly. So Robbie leaves me at the workshop, hands me over to one of his guys, Dre and I get along like a house on fire instantly. man, you know when you're on the same wavelength as someone else and you know it straight away? It was that thing. We were cracking up almost within 2 sentences. Hugging, cracking up some more. Anyway, so Dre and I goes and fills the van up. So he goes to me, look, I can give you this car, bro, but it's an 80% starter in the cold, or I can give you the van and it's 100% starter in the cold. Like, man, I'll take the 100, you know, and honestly, the fact you're giving me anything that's not a shopping trolley is dope. So we go to the petrol station, we fill up, and he says something that's cool. I'm going to change the words slightly, but this is the 10. He says, the thing with Robbie is that he values the person more than he values the money. So, that's my kind of guy. That's absolutely my kind of person. And it made sense too. Jay drops me off back in the yard, and then I make my way from there. From there, I drive to stopping at Bunnings. Bunnings is like one of those big box warehouses that has everything, like garden hoses, and beds, and couches, and barbecues, you know, pretty much everything. And I go there and I buy airbed, I buy the pump. I'm baked as when I'm there too. Oh man, because I've got a ride. It's so buzzing, but now I have transport to Raglan, and I have a car. I have a van that I can use for essentially as long as I need it, and then when I finish tiki touring, I can drop it back off. Life is good, man. Life is good. Thank you, universe. So I leave Bunnings, I make my way to Raglan. I rock up into Raglan, and fuck, I'm an idiot. So when I get to Raglan, I just know it's a place you go to. I don't know anything about it. And Raglan, you go into the area. It's like this beach area. There's a little town. There's a beach area, and I go into the town. Cool. I follow a sign that says beach. So I go to where it says beach, and I'm looking at this beach, and I'm looking, and I'm like, how the hell is this place a surf beach? I can't see how the waves come in properly. Like, what am I looking at? How does this work? And I'm still driving, kind of looking out the window, like, how does this work? I don't understand because it's so flat. It's so flat, it looks like a river. It's so flat, it looks like a river that I realise I'm looking at an estuary. Now, if you don't know what an estuary is, basically it's like the bit of where the river goes into the sea. Sometimes it goes really, really wide, but you're really still looking at a river. You're not looking at the sea. So there I am, thinking, this place, wow, must get some buzzy ass surf. It's all because I'm looking at a fucking river. Oh man. Alright, so I switch on Google Maps, pick the wrong places a couple of times, and then I go up to this lookout. I just happen to get to this lookout when the sun is starting to set, and I'm looking out, and there's another group there, and they're blazing. So I stand beside them, start talking to this guy JP. They have a hit of his joint, but it's a mix. It's got spin, tobacco, and weed. And a lady whose name I can't remember in the middle, and then there's another guy, Jareth. And we watched the sunset. And it was stunning. I can still see the colour. God, it was beautiful. The lady goes, and then Jareth and JP and I hang out. I blow Jareth out. I give him a joint. We have smoke a joint together. And super cool is that while we're up there, he points out and he goes, "Wow, look down there." And he says, "Down there," and because I said, "Well, what? Tell me what I'm looking at down this coast." And so not only does he tell me, like, he talks to me about the legend of this mountain, which is absolutely dope, which I can't remember it all. But anyway, he starts talking to me about the coastline and points out all the bits down the coastline. It's wavy, for want of a better term, like all the way down the coast. So there's lots of bits that jut out, and he names all of them. And then at the very end, he goes, "Wow, look at that, bro. Can you see down there?" And I was like, I can see what he was talking about. He goes, "That's black rock." And I was like, "Oh, cool." And he's buzzing out about it. He goes, "Man, you don't often get to see black rock, especially that clearly." And then JP comes up and says, "Oh, damn," and he's buzzing out as well. True, to be fair, we're all stoned, but but it was cool. It was cool. I dropped the ball in one part of the conversation. Standby fams, there's a car, it's pulled over. I'm going to pull over in front of it to see if they need any assistance. Fuck, this is a terrible place to be. I hope these fools aren't just sitting on their phone, because if they are, anyway, I'm going to push pause. Off topic, the behaviour of the driver, I didn't take the plate, nor would I share it if I had it anyway, but their behaviour was rude. I just pulled over to see if they needed assistance because of where they were parked, which was a really stupid place to put a car, and I think they were on their phone. And when I get there, they didn't even have the courtesy to say, "We don't need anything, no, we're okay," or even just wave it. They just drove off. Far up. Dope. So this ball that I drop is, I asked them for food recommendations. Jareth gives me this amazing story about his mum's place that sells food and that he's biased. I'm a dummy, and this is a learning as well. Jareth, have you ever heard this, brother? This one's on me. It's because I was actually, part of me was angling to see where they were going, so I could tag along. Egg box. That was an egg move, eh? And so I was paying attention, but I was also baked. And so when things like that happen, I find in my universe, when I have a relationship with somebody, if I'm angling for something stupid always happens. Always. And it's basically the universe telling me, don't ever angle for things in a relationship. And unsurprisingly, I have amazing relationships with people whenever I don't. I'm very fortunate to have the friends that I have. So he tells me this story, and then about 5 minutes later, we say out, we got to say goodbye to each other. And I completely forget that he's told me this story. I completely forget that he's just told me about his mum's restaurant and how passionate he is about it and the food that they make and all the things. And I go, oh bro, is there a fish and chip shop down the wharf? The wharf is where they suggested I go for freedom camping. I go, oh bro, is there a fish and chip shop down the wharf? And he just looks at me. He goes, oh yeah bro. There was definitely a little bit of disappointment or disgust on his face. But I swear it was simply because I had completely forgotten about the conversation, or that part of the conversation that we just had. All good. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up here. I'm going to push pause. The reason being is I'm nearly home, and also my phone only has 8 minutes of recording time left. Thank you very much for joining me on this episode. I hope this was entertaining in some way, shape or form. In any case, in order for me to do the return leg, I definitely need an hour. And because it's a banger. It is an absolute banger. Awesome. Alright, peace out. Look after yourselves. Do the things to help you love life more.